Flash warning for photosensitive viewers. Reviewing games over the course of 2 semesters, generally having the turnaround time of 1 week per game, and seeing opinions of the other reviewers that I look up to, I've found one universal truth to hold. RPGs are the critic's worst nightmare. So naturally, I wanted to see how far I could get through Persona 4 Golden for one video. I've played through the intro section of Persona 4, either standard or golden, approximately 3 or 4 times throughout my life. I have to say, in terms of pacing, it's my least favorite section of the game. 5 gets you into the action fast so that you won't start yapping and complaining like I am now. 3's got a mysterious and spooky opening meant to spark your curiosity. 4 is sluggish, rainy, damp, foggy. This also ends up being one of its greatest strengths. See, the thing that Persona 4 has over the other games is its ambiance. I'm a fan of this series, which clearly means I've never touched Persona 1, I've played the opening of Persona 2 on a bootleg, never finished 3 before I traded in my PS3 for a PS4, and I've played 5 over 2.5 times, and I've never beaten 4, but I know all the spoilers. 3 is my favorite because I'm a Persona fan and this makes sense. 5 has the best gameplay, 3 has the best story personally, and 4 has vibes, baby. The ennui that drags as you enter the sleepy town of Inaba is meant to invoke this sense of quietness and simplicity. It's a coziness that comes with the ambiance of the early 2000s. Low lights, the climate functioned kind of properly, and being in an era where the internet was still novel and evolving. That atmosphere goes hand in hand pretty smoothly with this sense of dread of an unknown, encroaching presence. See, there's a killer on the loose, and nobody can do anything about it. It's up to a band of superpowered high schoolers to stop them. While the details are just as convoluted, this is probably the Persona series' simplest plot to date, and it works to the game's strength by allowing a lot more time to focus on the character interactions. Something I noticed right away playing through this game is that while I love 5, the dialogue here feels a lot more empathetic. These characters are dealing with all of their emotions, the self-doubt and insecurity that comes with them, and you get the chance to simply be there for them and lend an ear while helping them out every now and then. Where Persona 3's key themes are life and death, 5's are rebellion and catharsis, 4's themes are friendship and truth, and it shows by how developed these characters are right out of the gate. That's partially by design, but I do think it's an interesting difference where just from the intro, 5's characters all have their own isolated stories, and 4's feel connected and like they've got history, years worth of stories to talk about. It's kind of a must to talk about style with regard to this game. Persona 4 Golden equips a poppy, vibrant aesthetic within its menus and portraits in an effort to power clash with the earthy and darker tones of its 3D environment. What you end up getting is an aura evocative of the mid-2000s, where styles were diverse and nothing was the same, both for better and worse. I think this game feels like a dream, because I was only 10 when the original release of this game came out, so I wasn't able to hang out and live life like the characters in this story, even though most of them are just high schoolers. All of this is kind of what I mean though. That energy, nostalgic and bittersweet, makes up a lot of the emotion that Persona 4 works to convey. As for the gamier aspects of this game, you've got the social simulator on one half, which you barely touch in the intro, and then the dungeon crawler with battles. With Persona 5 Royal, I've seen how much better the battle system can be, so my goal throughout this playthrough has been to level grind as early as possible so that I can just steamroll bosses. This is probably my biggest gripe throughout this game. I've had more fun playing Persona 5 Royal's battles on Merciless mode than I've had playing Golden's on normal, and that's because in Royal they incentivize challenge while valuing your time. So yes, your damage output is tripled if you hit weaknesses, but that's the same for your enemies, meaning if you mess up, you're done, but if you pay attention, you can mow your enemies down in record time. The biggest disappointment that I've had with Golden was opening it and seeing that its hard mode was just decreasing your damage, making enemies hit sponges, and lowering your resources. That feel of risk and reward is gone, the slog is back, and I'm no happier for it. That being said, this game does make up for it a little bit by having some downright funky tunes. The music in this game goes full pop, and I couldn't hate it if I tried. And I did try at some point. Occasionally, you'll run into the monotonous jingle, but more often than not, there's songs with a vibrance that matches the visual style of this game. I just think it's an absolute feat that the music of these games matches the visual aesthetics so darn well. Sometimes you run into games where the music is boring or interchangeable with others. Heck, I've listened to plenty of albums where the art is definitely cool, but doesn't match the vibe the music is going for at all. But every single time they put one of these games out, I look at the cover art and I can instantly hear a song playing. Maybe that's partially because of the association with each based on the amount of time spent playing these games. The general average playtime to complete Persona 4 Golden is 80 to 90 hours. So the answer to how far I could get on this one is not at all. But they tend to be worthwhile experiences. The thought occurred to me while I was sitting down and playing the other day. Persona 4 Golden is the kind of game I could spend a year with and not get tired of. Where other games have live service mechanics meant to incentivize daily logins and continuous encouragement, even the same series is going in that direction with its new mobile game, the classic Persona games will bring you back by simply having a loop engaging enough to make you just want to hop back in. That's why the mode of this medium matters so much too. Persona 4 started as a PlayStation 2 game, but Golden's first release was always intended for portability, being put on the PlayStation Vita. That's why this remaster for the Switch is at home, because I can just pick it up and get in a couple minutes of bite-sized playtime without feeling like I'm making a huge dedication. Despite my personal gripes with some of the gameplay, Persona 4 Golden tends to deliver more than it ever does disappoint, and it justifies its existence on the Nintendo Switch more than the Persona 3 remaster, which is a spit-out copy of the weakest version of that game. Side note, I'm begging and hoping that Persona 3 gets a full-on remake, because the special treatment that it gets for being my favorite game in this series is that I hate it, and I'm not going to replay it unless its gameplay gets a major overhaul. Persona 4, on the other hand, cements itself as a must-buy, a certified classic, if you will. I get paid to talk about games like these, so naturally I have a lot to say in general, but it's not often that a game leaves me with so many thoughts that I run the risk of working more than I get paid for, and then I still want to talk about it. Persona 4 Golden is one of those games.